I guess, South Africa is at a point right now where, and indeed across Africa, media is starting to become much more an issue on the agenda for not just media companies but also telecoms groups and technology companies as well. Media is seen as I guess an insatiable form of entertainment and communication and knowledge sharing, and it's seen as a vehicle through which you can start really owning the customers and really having a share of their attention and their wallets. And there's a fight, it's a battleground really between companies that are in the media game themselves, the incumbents, but there are many companies out there and some of them on the peripherals that could actually do some incredibly interesting things, the likes of Google and Apple, to start owning more of those customers, taking some of the ownership away and starting to monetize through subscriptions for all sorts of media consumption purpose. There's nothing like live drama, and live drama is what sport is all about. People just can't get enough of it. And sports rights, for that reason, are expensive, and they are expected to continually grow in value. The owners of those rights see that the demand is there. And obviously, getting back to the earlier point on owning customers, there are many more bidders now in the game trying to get those rights. Telcos are an example, and the technology groups, the likes of Apple and Google, who have massive balance sheets looking for investment opportunities, and especially companies like Google, who are really just the masters of search and understanding data and data analysis. They're really well positioned to start adding something more than just the consumption of sports content, but perhaps feeding other forms of information through to the audiences that enrich their experience of what they're watching. We're seeing more connected TV, absolutely, over-the-top transmission, which is just streaming via the internet, not necessarily on the TV itself, but on multiple devices. That's going to become more and more a norm. People are seeing that already today. They will sit and watch sport or a movie on the television and then have their iPad open and they're looking at IMDb and reading about the movie and critiques, comments, or if they're looking at sport, they're reading about players' profiles and clubs and their performance all at the same time. So people are starting getting used to multiple screens and multiple forms of information to be consumed simultaneously. Well, one of the challenges around measurement, it's no longer simply people consuming via a television media content and therefore measuring on that single platform. Now there are multiple platforms being used to consume TV content. So how do you measure who's watching and what are they watching? And of course offline viewing as well as online viewing. So video on demand, how do you know who's watching what programs and when? There's obviously some challenges to that. You can sit in the TV room with the whole family or one person. The broadcasters don't know that information. TV can be just left on. Nobody's in the TV room watching at all. But now it looks like there is media being consumed. So measurement is a really complex area which there's a lot of investment been put into this, and mainly because the advertising revenue out of pay TV is such an enormous industry. It's about $200 billion a year and growing. And advertisers are looking for much more clarity around the return on investment. And so the challenge is there for people who provide content, whether that's pay TV broadcasters, whether that's telcos or anybody else for that matter. They've got to up their game in terms of being able to provide that more scientific analysis.